This is peace, power, and purpose 360.
All right, mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2. It's time to get this show on the road. This is David Alexander III, and we're back for another impactful night of peace, power, and purpose 360 degrees. This is all about full circle transformation. This is about changing your mind, changing your body, changing your spirit. We're talking about making a complete realignment so that life gets better. Those goals that you've been letting bubble in your chest, run around in your head, keep me up at night, it's time to put some action Jackson steps to it so you can make it a reality. I know you got dreams for yourself. I know you got dreams for your family, you got dreams for your community, but this is where we learn how to utilize those golden nuggets that have been passed down through our generations of elders, and they're here for our learning. So tonight we want to just pick up where we left off last week. We're talking about how the mind filtrates information, and sometimes when our mind is set that something is bad for us, it filtrates all of the things that doesn't align with what we're thinking. So I want to talk more tonight about how the mind works, because, there's a slogan for a very popular organization said the mind is a terrible thing to waste. And by the way, you need to stay hydrated. It's still hot outside. And one of the things about it is water is helpful to the mind, because if you're not properly hydrated, then your brain, functionality of your brain is going to be at stake. Your thinking. A lot of time people make critical decisions when they're dehydrated. They start hallucinating, become deranged. You lose control of your functionality. So it is always good to stay hydrated, especially this time of year. So I'm not going to keep bugging you about it, but it's your life, and your life is full of choices. Make the choice to stay hydrated, okay? Even when you have a dry moment, when we're talking, you may see me pop up and take another swig of this good high alkaline water. We're going to talk about water because water is very valuable. Water is a part of the current that we all flow in. I know you talk about currency, but currency is really talking about money. But current is about everything that's of value, everything that makes you wealthy. And certainly your thoughts are very wealthy. They're very valuable to you. But one of my favorite writers, his name is Lou Tice. He says that our conscious, our subconscious, and our creative conscious works together to perceive the world around us, and it stores our reality. It makes sure that each of us act like the person we know or we believe ourselves to be. So our ability to self-regulate, it already boils down to where your belief system is. And one of the things about it, I know last week, David Mesler made a quote, and I quoted to you that every thought is an investment. And the question is, where your thoughts investing in your future, or is it investing in your financial limitations? So tonight, I want to tell you that Dave always come up with some good quotes, and the one tonight is about who are you becoming? Every day you become more and more like the person you should be, or you becoming more and more like the person your thinking is going to make you become. So he says that success isn't an event, but it's a result of repeated behaviors becoming part of who you are. So we talked about a few weeks ago about how a man thinketh in his heart, how he thinks in the seat of his will. That's what he becomes, or that's what she becomes. So he's becoming, she's becoming. And it's about a life transformation. It's about going complete circle, 360 degrees, to become either that person that you authentically should be, or that person that you're going to allow the world around you to make you become. Okay, so I want you to stay with us tonight. So that's why we want you to subscribe us on YouTube, like us, and share it with your friends on Facebook, and then follow us on Instagram, because this is 360 degrees, total transformation, peace, power, and purpose. And we always want to give a shout out to our main man, Sean, your boy, here at Your Boy Media, which does an outstanding job throughout the community. And I mean, this guy is all over the place. There's no telling where I'm going to see him next, but he does an outstanding job. So kudos to you, Sean, for making it happen again for Peace, Power, and Purpose, 360 degrees. But tonight, let's get into the weeds of what we're talking about. Because you know what? At the end of the day, sometimes we can do some things subconsciously and don't know we're doing it. And the conscious is a process. It's called your perception through your senses. And this includes your sight, your taste, your touch, your hearing, your ability to smell. You remember sometimes you can say, man, I sense something is wrong. I need to call my mom or call my children or call my loved one or something ain't right here at work. And then when something happens, you say, man, I knew something was wrong. I just couldn't put my finger on it. I couldn't figure it out. Well, we have so many ways of perceiving things through our senses. And even though your sensory system began to work before you were born, it records information on the subconscious level. Psychologists will tell you that a child, an unborn child, can sense whether they're loved or not. They can hear things. They can hear conversations. They can sense whether you really care about them or not before they're even born. Isn't that amazing? So the human sensory system is a very powerful system, and it records information on the subconscious level. So you perceive through your senses and store all that information on the subconscious level. Every radio program, every word, every experience, when a woman carrying a baby experience violent situations, traumatic situations, even sit in the movies and you see graphic or reading traumatizing news, it is recorded in the neuron structure of your brain. So now, sometimes you say, well, I don't know where that came from, but it's all about what has been stored in the subconscious mind of a human being. And I know sometimes you hear people say deja vu, like I've been here before. Or I said these very same words before. It's because it's been stored in your subconscious. You can be standing in places, man, feel like I've been this place before. Your brain, how your mind works is so awesomely powerful that it'll have you afraid if you don't watch it. So you'll live your life at the level of your belief, not at the level of your potential. Have you ever seen someone, they're so talented and their talents can take them to the moon and back, and they can be filthy rich off of their talents, but they don't even understand their own potential because they're living at the level of their beliefs. Somewhere along the line, somebody has made them believe the truth about themselves that's really not true. And that's why I said in certain previous episodes, you got to learn how to unbelieve the lie that you were taught. Currency is not the only current. It is part of a flow that when you're in rhythm, you're in alignment with it, you're going to go with the flow. Opportunities come to you. That's why your talents and your gifts and your anointings are not going to let you rest at night, because it's beyond you. It's a tool that's supposed to be used to build something bigger than you. And man, I know I'm talking to somebody out there. I know I'm talking to somebody that's becoming. No matter how bad things get in life, no matter how many pitfalls you fall into, you wind up getting outside of that pit. Here you are again. But again, you let your own self-talk, what used to be your continuous narrative. So if the real world does not match what you're thinking about, who you really are, then you try to make the world match your inside image subconsciously. In other words, you're going to self-correct, but you're going to correct to a lie about you that's not consistent with how even the world recognizes your talent, and they're gravitating to you because that's your current. But you believe a lie about yourself. You don't believe you're worthy. Have you ever been someplace and you say, man, is it even right for me to be here? You receive a recognition award. You don't even know how to say thank you for this award because deep down inside, you don't even believe yourself worthy of the reward. You're so used to being that for everybody else that now you can't be that for yourself. Be supportive of yourself, recognizing who you really are. And it's crazy because this stored information that each one of us has is called the truth. You call it the truth. I call it the truth. That's the way life is. You've said it before. Everybody thinks that. But you see it, and you see it in a way that it seems like it's real to you. And we can also call this truth a reality. That's just a reality. I'll never be able to get ahead. I'll always be broke. I'll never be successful at this or that. I'll never become that person that I know deep down inside I'm capable of becoming. I'll never be that leader that's respected. Man, you got to give yourself a chance. You got to pursue it. And see, sometimes the way life really is hidden from you because you believe so many things that are not true. They call them scotomas, things that are hidden from us. Other people might see it, but you can't see it. And this is why our reality, how we see ourselves or how we believe ourselves to be, may not be what everybody else see to interact with us. And they wonder, when is she going to get it together? When is he going to get it together? And sometimes it's vital to the relationship you're in. It's vital for the career that you're pursuing. It's vital for the vision you have for your family, for your children, your grandchildren, even for your community. But you got to be able to get around those things that are hidden from you and then get out of your comfort zone. Start to explore and see things for what they really are. Start to look at your talent. Look inward. Who am I? What do I have going for me? What has been working down through these years? Because even though I feel like my life is a total failure, there have been some things that have worked for me. Because when you start focusing on those things, then you're going to realize that your potential can take you further than what you've always believed about yourself. And with all that information that we're storing and perceiving, it occurs when our creative subconscious come into play, because the creative subconscious thought is to make right what you think is wrong. And sometimes you might be thinking the right thoughts, but your creative subconscious turns around and corrects that for you. So that's why you hear people talk about overcorrecting. Have you ever been driving, you veered off the road, and if you turn that wheel too fast, it's called overcorrecting. It's a knee-jerk reaction, and all of a sudden what you thought was going to correct it, it just made matters worse. So the same thing in our thinking, we have a knee-jerk reaction, and instead of giving ourselves a chance, I know some people that every 6 months, they're giving up and they're trying to reset on some new goals. Man, you didn't give the goals, you already set a chance. I did it to myself. How many times have I asked God to help me with this diet thing? Help God to help me change my eating habit. Help me treat myself like I really want to live, how I really love life. I love life, man. I love to smile, but I had to start treating myself like that in order for it to work. And the more I learned how to treat myself like I really wanted to live a long time, man, it got easier. You know what? Because I was establishing new norms in my life. And even in ministry, I'm setting new boundaries and establishing new norms in ministry, because you know what? I can't keep doing things the traditional way, Man, you got to go out there. Sometimes your gifts and talents going to take you in left field. My idol, my celebrity, Jesus Christ himself, he went in left field. He broke traditions. He was willing to be abnormal to a lot of folks to be normal and relevant to many folks. And it changed your life. People accomplish things they never thought they could accomplish because they came outside of their comfort zone. They begin to think like they ought to think instead of the way they had been conditioned by the world around them to think. You know, that's why I love this scripture. As a man, a human being think in their heart continuously, that's what they become. So who are you becoming? You got to challenge your thinking. And we behave like we think. Like we are subconsciously conditioned automatically to believe about ourselves. Isn't that amazing? But man, it's very simple. And that's why I say this in ministry. I say it in the community. I say it in family. I don't care where I go. I'm going to the family reunion next month. I'll say it there. If you change the way you think, you can change the way you live your life. Man, there's so many golden nuggets out there that's there to help you. And one of the things about it, when you see yourself every day as not behaving like you know you should, your subconscious will correct the mistake. Whatever you think the mistake is, your subconscious is going to correct it. So when you see yourself or your life going in a different direction than it should, this created subconscious makes you behave or act like you go back to being yourself. So if you're not happy with self, then you got to change the way you think, because subconsciously you're going to go back to the image you have created about yourself. And if it's a negative self-image, I don't care how many accolades anybody give you. If you don't learn how to appreciate yourself for who you are and what you bring to the table, you're just on a self-destructing pathway. And it's going to be hard for anybody to believe in you as a leader because you don't really believe in yourself. I remember there are things that we go through in life that'll make you question, should I even be here? But I can also remember being in places, in homes of billionaires and saying, man, this is awesome. I can appreciate the uniqueness of this work. I can appreciate the pedigree of the art that I looked at. You know, everything was about presentation. But I never felt for a moment that do I need to be here? No. I actually felt like I could be here if I want to. I can have something like this if I want to. But you know what? When you leave that environment, if you go back and surround yourself with people that tell you what you can't have, that dominates your thinking. And that's how the mind works. You create the image of yourself, and then you act according to what you believe the truth is about you. And if you don't deserve to be successful, then you're going to always overcorrect. Every time you do something that moves toward that success. That's why sometimes people are trying new goals. They're trying new things. They go back, they try a new way of losing weight, you know, but deep down inside, they say to themselves, they know that they're not a good person. And the world is treating them differently because they know who you are. So you must subconsciously make people out there treat you like you know you are. And that can happen. It can happen by the image of how you are inside being real, about how you put the checks and balances in your life, how you pursue goals, because you are smart, you are talented, you're full of gifts and anointings. But you got to believe that for yourself. You know what? I've seen people go in and take a promotion exam and say, I'm probably going to flunk it because I done stayed up all night. But if you studied all this time and you didn't believe this studying was going to do you any good, guess what? Don't waste your time taking the test, because you're going to fulfill that prophecy you spoke over your own life. I'm going to flunk the test. So everything is going to align in you according to what you say. You'll have what you say. And that's why you need to learn how to have good I am statements. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am the certainty itself. Jesus Christ spoke those I am statements about himself. He never questioned who he was. He never questioned his identity. He never questioned his purpose. He never questioned his mission. He never questioned his ministry. He just did it. And you know what, my friend? That's what we got to do. We got to become who we have been called to be. And you got to first be confident that you know who you are. You know what your purpose is. You know where your power rests. And then you'll see, my friend, your life turn 360 degrees. You'll find peace. You'll find power. You'll find purpose. A complete life realignment. So I hope this helped you tonight. And I want you to stay with me because we're on a journey. And you know what? I'm loving it because I'm watching things align with me and what I say. My words of my mouth are powerful. And I refuse to speak any negativity over my life again. I refuse to let anybody use my self-talk to cut me down. I'm going to the mountaintop because I believe the power that's behind my goal, my mission in life is going to push me there. I just want you to get on this journey and stop talking about what ain't and what can't be and start looking at all the possibilities, because it's about peace. It's about power. It's about purpose. 360 degrees. Take care, my friend. Be safe. Be hydrated.
This is peace, power, and purpose 360.